All right, welcome back, everybody. And again, this is Hurix, joined by Brunch once again, who had to sprint over and should be there now. How are you
Of
doing, man?
course. I made it in time. Was a close one, but I did get here. And we have a very interesting one because so far this seems to be a there seems to be problems in this Eagle Gaming lineup. Not only choosing their top 6 roster, if you will, or their starting roster, but just the coordination doesn't seem to be quite there just yet.
Well, it really kind of seems like they're going for that kind of plug and play setup where, based on the map, based on what they want, they just put in who they think is going to, operate the best. And obviously, in this particular situation, they want some mainstay DPS, something a little bit consistent. So they bring in Hardest, who's been really strong on the Soldier so far. Nox at the moment going to be on that Orisa. I was very curious to see when they were going to start bringing Nox out a lot more on the Orisa, because so far we've only really seen Super Pluke playing that role. But they probably want to go for a dive here, and that's where Eagle Gaming can become a little bit easy to predict. Where you see Nox into play, you see Nico in there as well. You see already that Amaze is here as well, so you kind of imagine that they're more than likely going to be going for a dive on attack, and that can become a little bit of a downfall for them, at least to begin things. But we'll have to see if that's going to be the case. Craggy has already shown that he's a ridiculous, probably one of the best tracers between him and Popeyfresh. I would say best tracers so far that we've seen in Pit.
And now he will be going over to that Widowmaker pick to start things off, but the shields are going to be there, keeping the rest of Eagle Gaming safe for now. Kip, of course, on that Genji pick has been an absolute monster so far, but Havoc, interestingly enough, will be on that Roadhog.
And they're just kind of buying time right now. They've shown great pacing so far between aggression and just slow paced, letting Kid find time when he was on the Soldier as well, where he's been very flexible. Craggy now taking an off angle, and they don't really look to kind of do anything about this. He's just pushing in damage to those tanks. They're under fire, forced into that corner, and now we see the aggression coming out here as Craggy's in the face of Nox, and they rip him down.
But that aggression is going to be punished, and Eagle Gaming take 2. Make that a third one. Hip on point with that Zenyatta. Just dishing out so much damage. Will be able to take out his counterpart in Bach, and now with Crusade going down as well. Eagle Gaming definitely seeming way better compared to yesterday.
Certainly looking a little bit more cohesive. They probably had a little bit of a talk yesterday, trying to discover some of the issues that they had, because when you look at this roster, it's not the type of roster that you expect to be 0-2 going into day 2. They certainly seem like a team that really should have been able to shine a little bit yesterday, but they really fell flat in my opinion. And they just, I don't know, it was a little bit disappointing. But now we see Hardest pulling out this attack visor, trying to shut down these flankers and putting a lot of damage into them, just not securing a kill just yet.
Hip is gonna go down, and the Resurrect's not gonna come through just yet. Bot though, Valkyrie still timing out, gets knocks back up, but kills all in favor of Red so far. As Hardest did go down as well. Self-destruct did come through, no kills achieved, however. Fusion's even being able to take down that particular buff, but Hardest still gets the D-suit. Get Amaze did find Bach. Kip though still a menace on that Genji, and is rapidly trying to close things off as he does have the blade available.
Fusions really put the damage in with Kib there to secure that kill onto Bod. That's a big one. Allowed them to take down Hardest as well. And they are just looking to try to keep Fusions alive if they can. That's not going to happen, but Kib and Craggy, or I guess you could call him Craggy. Craggy, rather. This is the second time I've messed his name up, but we're gonna go with Fraggy. We talked about it yesterday.
Mistake,
yeah, exactly. So we're just gonna call him Fraggy sometimes when he's popping like this, especially when he's working in conjunction with Kib. They're just so aggressive together, able to find those kills. You saw Kib all over the kill feed, just all over the board right there. But now they need to hold out. 1 minute 20 on the clock here as they're getting aggressive. Craggy is now looking for an opportunity to jump in there, get a pulse bomb as these guys are all clumped up, throws it down, not going to find a kill though, and he's going to die off to the self-destruct.
That's not going to be what they were exactly looking for, but the Dragon Blade will look to turn things around. Kib gets the first one onto Hardest. Can he get anything else? Yes, he does. He gets a double kill onto Hip, going down now, and things are looking stellar for those guys, as they're going to just get the checkpoint anyway. No one to contest over on the payload.
And when you look at stats, in terms of, first kill, win rates, and all that kind of stuff, I remember seeing way back in the day that, your best chance if you lose someone first in that team fight is if it's a Tracer. They can come back, especially if you have a Mercy in play, but they didn't get the res there. Craggy's going to make a swap, actually, over to that Widowmaker, and will have a lot of space to work with more than likely. Nox now, they've already adjusted for a while now over to this kind of counter dive setup. Nico is on the Tracer at the moment, trying to deal with Craggy as he's just trying to sneak his way on back. Will find Bach in the back line, and now they're jumping all over this Zenyatta. They take the first kill easily.
But the Resurrect is going to come through. Crusade picks him back up, and so far still is going to be somewhat equal. However, we'll see that Widowmaker being contested, and as a result, suddenly things are looking on the up and up for Eagle Gaming as they manage to desuit Havocal, and now Transcendence will be popped by Bach, but Members advantage slightly building up once again in favor of the lineup of those guys as Hip is going to go down, more importantly, right before he gets his ultimate.
Well, they have an opportunity here to pull this blade out from Kib. The Mercy is very low here. Bod definitely needs to make sure that he stays safe rather in this particular situation. They're just going to pull out though, those guys looking for another opportunity to go in. But so far, Eagle Gaming looking a lot better than what we saw yesterday. They're holding out those guys who was looking very strong. I actually kind of envisioned them as a very strong favorite in this matchup. Should have been kind of one-sided per se, but Eagle Gaming definitely showing up, putting on a good show for us right now.
And with that Transcendence ready to go, as said, he'll be looking to stay alive and make sure his team gets a potential advantage, but the self-destruct is going to come through, finds no targets, and as a result, Kib will pick up that first kill of this particular engage, gets the second one out to Hip before he could use that Transcendence, and more importantly, the kill feed's still somewhat equal. Get amazing Havocal answer, but Craggy gets the best of Nico with that Pulse Bomb. Knox still gets him in the end, and somehow, some way, Eagle Gaming still contesting for a while, but finally, Get Amazed will go down. Kib still dashing through, getting those kills, and the payload will get some more distance, but with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining.
And Kib still showing off that patience, trying to make sure he saves that blade for after Hype already pops a Transcendence or Hype is completely out of the fight. So obviously you're going to want to make sure that they deal with the Mercy as well on top of that. So he's been holding on to that for quite some time, but he should be able to pop that out in just a moment's time here if they can just get aggressive after this Transcendence.
And now the blade will come through. Self-destruct does come out as well and kills in favor of those guys as Bod will pick him back up. But again, it is a 1-0 advantage. Havocal will lose that suit. Get Amazed still surviving with the help of the Valk, and Nox being picked back up. Bach is going to go down. Nico on that backline, still doing quite a bit of damage. Craggy still trying to make things happen for his team as Crusade still alive. Will have that AoE healing. Hip going dangerously low, almost goes down. Finally gets killed off as Fusions still in that front line, still dishing out the damage, and as a result, Bach now able to charge up his Transcendence, will keep the rest of his team safe, and they might just do it, but with 8 seconds remaining, they need to get a move going.
It's absolutely insane seeing Kib bouncing around the way that he's been able to, and they're still fighting in overtime here. They will secure this here, Brunch, but they've been losing out a lot on this time, and now they only have less than a minute and a half as they just secured that with no time left at all, obviously, with that overtime push. To be able to push through this last section, and this last section, as we know, is one of the more difficult stages of this map. They do have the blade, they do have the self-destruct, but they're going to be swapping things around here, Brunch. They're going to be going for a triple tank setup as Craggy goes off of the Tracer and onto the Roadhog.
And we'll see if it's going to pay off. Craggy, of course, definitely just as strong on that potential Roadhog, but so far the Get Amazed still will be able to stay alive. Hardest will go down to Kib. Pulling out that blade gets the first double once again, and with Bod going down, things are looking good for this lineup of these guys, but they still need quite a lot of distance on that payload, and with 40 seconds remaining, there will be at least one more defense coming out of Eagle Gaming.
Those guys really want to see their supports start charging up those ultimates. They want to have the ability to stay in this next fight. They have the ability to pull Bach into it if they do get aggressive and Bach falls in this next fight off of a dive. So really they want to make sure that they get very aggressive here, make space for Bach so that they don't have to... Oh, he got both supports!
Nico going huge on that Tracer, getting both supports is going to be the shutdown on this particular push. And even though we saw a nice little play there coming out of Fusions, popping that Primoid, trying to keep them contained in one particular space, so Havocal blows them up with the self-destruct, doesn't pay off in the end. It's somehow Nico finding those 2 kills is going to prompt that overtime to kick in, and suddenly Eagle Gaming turn it up to 11.
Now Havocal out of mech, he wants to die off more than likely, I'd have to imagine, so he can get that res, but he's just going to try to build up his ultimate back to get back into that mech. Not going to happen. Blade comes out from Kib, he's looking for targets, looking now for Hype as he's right in his face, pulls back, Get Amazed, takes him down. Craggy trying to get these tanks ripped down as well, but it's not going to look like it's happening. Nico under duress from Craggy as he's forced back. Hardest with a nice Helix rocket secures that kill. They just need to deal with this Mercy who's trying to get that res. He does somehow get it onto Fusions, as now he falls as well. Overtime will tick 61.81 meters towards that last objective. Man, that was really close there. It seemed like Eel Gaming might have let that through, but really, really good job there from Hardest in particular to be able to stay on that payload and just rip that damage on out.
He did have the support, of course, of Bod over on that Mercy, with the Valk being available, having that heal, having the damage boost as well when needed, just to make sure he rips through the targets, or rather his targets in that regard. And I gotta say, Eagle Gaming definitely now looking like an actual contender for those first, or rather top 3 spots. And those guys, they're gonna have to pull out a pretty good defense here, as overall things are looking on the up and up for their opponents.
Yeah, Piece of Cake has looked really solid. It's you definitely expect to see them probably go in there. I mean, Angry Titans, that matchup was really close, but those guys was one of the other teams that I kind of expected. You know, Piece of Cake being really solid, you know, Angry Titans. Eagle Gaming was honestly, before this, I thought they were going to be, you know, first or second, but they just really faltered on day one. I think that just threw off everybody's expectations of what to look for, you know, going forward. But there's still a lot of matches left to be played. There's still a lot of time left for this 12-man roster to kind of find a groove for themselves. And it seems like now on day 2, they have at least found somewhat of a groove. They did also take their first map yesterday in their games, where Crew really kind of showed up, snuck that payload through on Kings Row. But we'll have to see if this pacing does continue for them, if they can carry this momentum into a map number 2, perhaps map number 3 if it's required. Now they still have to attack here. They still have to go ahead and utilize what I believe is going to be a Reaper attack. I have to imagine he's going to swap here to like a, I don't know what he's going to go. He might stick
Possibly
with the Reaper.
his can. He might, but interestingly enough, over on defense,
what I want to or something. Oh, he's going to go for it. Okay.
Oh, okay. Interesting, but what's also interesting is the defensive side there. We have Sombra, of course, all those health packs, having control over them will be good, but no Mercy means if the opposing team gets a couple of picks, that could very well end the fight abruptly. And as a result, we'll see if Eagle Gaming can make the most out of it, as Kib, of course, will still be an absolute menace on that particular Genji, and Crusade is going to be the first one to go down.
And they're getting a very, very aggressive off of this. You know, with this Reaper, you would typically see a lot of times Eagle Gaming probably wanting to just, you know, go for a counter dive, force them into their side of the payload, and then use that Reaper to just clean up all those tanks. But instead, they got very aggressive, just boosted right into them with hype on that Lucio, and they just ran right on through. Now, something to take note of here as well is no Mercy on either side. Both teams opting away from it, as Sombra is going to be the pick here for Bach 1 as he comes back into the play with that EMP ready to go.
And more importantly enough, they weren't rather on the payload, and as a result, didn't get too much distance rolling. Now the Coalescence bot is gonna try and create an opening for his team as hard as doesn't manage to pick up Crusade. The EMP is gonna hit, but still kills overall slightly in favor of this lineup of Eagle Gaming as they're trying to chew through Kib, though. Finds Get Amazed with the help of Craggy, looking for a couple more targets. Fusion did pop up that Primal Rage, but Hardest still gets the best out of Happy Cool. Fusion's just swinging around, but not to great success as Eagle Gaming still going strong.
Well, Craggy and Kib come away with their ults. Happy Cool with the self-destruct should be able to take them off the payload if they decide they want to go ahead and re-engage on this, and I think they do want to. They have everybody in position. It's going to take a little time for that payload to actually get there. So I imagine they want to go ahead with this. EMP should be ready about halfway through this fight if he does manage to get some healing off of it as well. They're going to engage with that self-destruct and actually take out Nox. He's going to be eliminated so quickly there.
Oh, but the counter self-destruct is going to pick up Crusade. Definitely something looking on the up and up for Eagle Gaming, as Craggy's going to go down as well. Hip claiming that particular kill, and oh, the Death Blossom gets shut down by the EMP. And now Kib coming back in with the Blaze, going to look to clean things up for his team, and they might have just done it.
Crusade coming back from respawn as well. They make the hold. 140 on the clock right now. They still have a couple kills yet to go, and we will see Bod and Nox holding on. Primal Rage is ready as well. They could easily turn this one back around. The hack coming out onto Nox for a second time. Not going to be enough as Bach falls as well. They will secure this in just a matter of time here as Fusions will die off. They just have Craggy left to deal with as he's holding on for dear life as well. That's going to be it. Oh, he still somehow manages to get back onto the point. But 3:45 here, Brunch, as they go into that second phase of the map. Craggy's going to be the one that they're looking to try to get back from respawn, along with Kib, who should be able to get back there pretty quick, but the both of them, that is. And they have Sound Barrier and EMP for this next fight, as well as a Primal Rage reset for Fusions. They really want to get that EMP onto these tanks here, I imagine, not just because of these ultimates that they have up, but also to shut them down, shut that aggression down, give time there as well for the Kib to start generating up that blade for the next fight.
Oh, and Sound Barrier will be popped, as well as Coalescence in return. The EMP not getting too much done, but it's enough for Kib to actually pick up a kill onto Nico. Self-destruct doesn't find any other target, but Eagle Gaming still on the payload, still fighting it out. Fusions will have that Primal Rage rolling, as well as Nox, as they will continue to brawl it out. Another self-destruct coming through. Get a mace, gets Craggy somehow in the end. Fusions picking up Hip will mean that that particular support will be out of the question. Buck still off onto the sidelines. Get a mace, will try and contest him and make sure the payload gets some more distance rolling, and Havical will go down, and Eagle Gaming come out on top with another team fight win.
Bak1 almost stealing away a kill onto Bod there, but he's going to go ahead and get that Coalescence ever closer. Now we do see Hardest here coming back from respawn. He has that Death Blossom here, so definitely look to see that pulled out as Bak now off of the Sombra and now onto the Zenyatta. That's big here. Remember, though, that Kib doesn't have to worry about a Zenyatta on the opposition for himself anymore either. So now as he gets aggressive, more than likely he can pull out these blades a lot more often. They actually get away from that Death Blossom completely, not only demeching, but also taking the kill on the D.Va, and that's going to allow the blade to just go ham right over towards this Moira. He finds the kill, will find the other support kill more than likely as well, but he's going to go ahead and get back over to his team. Lucio does get away, but almost lost his life there as well.
And good intentions coming out of the side of Eagle Gaming there, but the execution found a little bit lacking, and as a result, those guys exploit that potential opening and managed to recover, where it wasn't looking too good for them, I gotta say. Nico, though, will have that pulse bomb once again ready to go, along with Nox with the Primal Rage. Hardest did make the swap with the McCree, so he'll try to deal with the likes of Craggy and Kib, but gets balked to start things off, and Get a Maze picks up a second kill.
And this is that McCree that I thought he was going to be on to begin with, but he stayed with that Reaper for quite some time. Now he's going to be eliminated. They're trying to shut down these flankers that are just proving to be too much from those guys. Craggy and Kib have been lighting their backline up like crazy, and with Hardest down right now, it's tough to deal with, but they're going to actually secure this. He's going to be very far behind because he didn't get that ideal respawn, so Hardest is going to take some time to actually get caught back up, and doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch him up quickly. But nonetheless, they're still going to get him in there. 2:30 about on this time bank now that they have to get in here with, and that is a decent amount of time considering the fact that it was a minute and a half for those guys as they came in. But look at the ultimates for those guys here.
Oh, Bach actually forced to use that Transcendence. Will keep his teammates healthy for now, as Nox will answer with the Primal Rage. Craggy, though, gets the D-suit with the Pulse Bomb, and now with the Substitute coming through, it finds two targets. Really well done by Havical as well.
Looks a lot like what we saw. It looks a lot like what we saw in Hollywood. Sorry, you cut out there, so I wasn't sure if you were still going, but remember back on Hollywood where Havical had a couple of moments, especially on that second phase of the map, where they held for so long, where he was able to pop off with a couple of big self-destructs, and that's exactly what they need in this situation here, to hold this for another minute 40, especially against that all-out just hardcore damage that's going to come from this McCree and Nico over here on the Tracer. They have those discords from Pipe as well, so it's going to be tough to hold this for the entire duration of this time bank now.
Oh, and Fusion's going to go down, both Valks online and ready to go. Self-destruct is going to come out from Get Amazed, and overall, in terms of the kill feed, it is slightly in favor of Blue, but all the resurrects were used by Bot as well as Crusade, and still, somehow, some way, Kib managed to find a deflect on that High Noon, or rather Deadeye, but still, overall, it is Eagles Gaming's team fight to win, as it will continue to potentially push for this payload, and with 1 minute and 4 seconds remaining, things are definitely looking stellar for them.
This is where it becomes very, very difficult now if you're those guys to try to hold this one out. You do have the blade, but you still have to worry about that Transcendence. You have to get that out of the way if you want to be able to use that. So Craggy really needs to go ahead, get very aggressive, pull that Transcendence out or kill that guy. Oh! Craggy threw out the Pulse Bomb, but it got eaten up by the D.Va, and Nico fires back with one of his own, finds two, and the big one was on the Mercy.
Oh, and now Kib is trying to stay on the point. Bach gets Nico in the end. He will try to go ahead and get a heroic play rolling, but Deadeye finds him this time around as Hardest says second time's a charm. And now self-destruct coming out of Havikul will find one kill, but as they continue to push their way onto this payload, they're not going to give out just yet. 17 seconds left, and Fusion's still there, still fighting, still trying. Crusade will go down. Kib coming back in, actually on dead Doofus will go down, and with Primal Rage being up, as well as the Mei for Bach, they're still going to try and stall things around. 3 seconds close. We're closely approaching that overtime. Nobody to contest the point, and as a result, to my surprise at the very least, Eagle Gaming take the first win.
Squeaked it out there too. It looks a lot like Kings Row yesterday, where it was really, really close. Could have gone either way, but overall, pretty solid hold from those guys. Just a little bit short on the attack there, and Kib here pulling out the blade on their attack. This was that patience where we saw him holding onto the blade for so long. He pulls it out when it's really necessary, gets a lot of kills because of it, but you know, overall, solid performance there for Eagle Gaming.
And we will be right back with the second map. Don't go anywhere.
All right, how's it going, everybody? Jumping right into the action as soon as we can. We do have a lot of Overwatch coming your way today, so I want to go ahead and get this going as fast as possible. Brunch, how you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. Excited to see the outcome of this particular series because those guys have been looking really good overall. Don't think that's too much of a surprise, but Eagle Gaming definitely looked way better coming into the second day of the Overwatch Pit Season 2 Championship. And on paper, as said, we expected them to do exceptionally here.
Yeah, and as we know right now, Bach is going to be taking the seat on the bench right now. Funny Astro making his debut for Overwatch Pit, and he is their control wizard playing the Lucio role more often than not. I do have word that he'll probably have a bigger role, maybe a little bit more impact in the next patch as well, but looks like we're just getting a quick pause before we get underway. But yeah, Funny Astro making his debut. Still though, we do have a pretty similar roster to what we saw yesterday for Eagle Gaming, and I made a comment yesterday about how this is more than likely what to expect from Eagle Gaming going forward, but now a little bit of an exception here. We do have Lilbo coming back into play, and he's going to be operating on that Lucio, so just 2 swap-ups to bring their Lucios into the lineups, but other than that, pretty much the same story from yesterday.
But I'm also excited to see Leaf back up in this lineup because he's been an exceptional projectile DPS for Gamers Origin in the past, and while his Diva left a little bit to be desired for the most part, coming into Oasis with picks like that Pharah, can always play that Genji, and even the Doomfist. We might see some more of Doomfist potentially here. Will be exciting to see.
Yeah, it's once again another situation where it's like, you know, plug and play, especially with these support players. Bode and Lilbo coming in, Hype and Peepu did a good job yesterday, but now bringing it into the control point, switching things up a little bit. Again, Eagle Gaming has looked better. They really have. Nico has really stepped it up, shown off a lot more flexibility than what we're even used to seeing him from back in the Rogue days. So it's nice to see that kind of improvement since their first day, and now they still have that opportunity. Yesterday was their opportunity to bounce back, but we didn't get to finish that because of the postponement that had to occur with the delays and everything like that. So now continuing with their opportunity, we'll have to see if they can actually pull it out here.
And it's going to be an interesting one to start things off as, of course, we'll see Pharahs on both sides. Nothing too unexpected when it comes to Oasis. It seems to be the hero that pretty much dictates most of the outcomes in a bunch of fights that do happen on Oasis. So we'll see if it's going to be indeed the pick to look out for, as the Pharah battles will already start to commence. Kib looking for his opponent onto Leaf, dropping it pretty low. Good shots already.
Yeah, he's already landed 2 directs onto that opposing Pharah. Got a couple more onto the Winston, but they have to be able to close this out quickly. If he starts to get a little stagnant at any point in time, starts to get a little complacent with the shots that he's landed, they're going to slow down, and really it's going to kind of lead them to being too far behind. But Hafikul coming around, lending a little helping hand there to Kib in the air, taking Leaf out of the sky, and it seems like it's still a little bit of a back and forth here, Brunch, but those guys slowly taking control right now.
Oh, and already with a pulse bomb, Nico is going to be able to desuit Hafikul. Now looking to close out that particular kill, but overall, the members of those guys still fighting on the point, having a small advantage in terms of the numbers. Kib is actually going to go down. Not entirely sure what happened there, but Nico coming back in does take Crusade down. No mercy in this next team fight. Still going to be big, and the point's still not capped for either side.
And it seems like with that re-engagement actually coming out from Eagle Gaming, they might actually have created a little bit of an advantage for themselves. Craggy's still finding a couple of kills, but they obviously have to deal with him, but they did demak Happy Cool. They should be able to find that elimination on the Baby Diva as well. They do indeed, now forcing Funny Astro off the point as we see the tank coming back into play. Fusion's trying to make an impact here as he comes back in, but there's Nox as well. This is still back and forth, but look who has control throughout this entire fight. Those guys, as long as they hold on to this, what a barrage from Kib to solidify 2 kills off of that one. Lee takes him out, but the damage is done.
And on top of that, Craggy manages to find Bod in that particular team fight as well with the Pulse Bomb. And as a result, it's a big pickup because Bod was forced to use that Valkyrie and didn't really get anything out of it. So it's another team fight win on the board for those guys. And considering the fact that already have a hold of it and force quite a few ultimates from the side of Eagle Gaming, should look better and better. But at the very least, for the side of Eagle Gaming, they do have Leaf good to go with that Rocket Barrage.
Expect Kib to play a little bit more safe here. They really want to keep Crusade out of the fight if they can, so that they can generate up this Valkyrie, get him to pull it out, but Leaf snipes him out of the sky. Kib finds the kill, but I don't know, that's a good barrage kill to get. Bod taken down pretty low here as well, but Kib doesn't have that protection from the Mercy anymore.
And as a result, things could finally start looking on the up and up for Eagle Gaming. They just need to close these kills as fast as possible, because the longer this team fight drags on, the faster will give Crusade an opportunity to fly back in. He can even pop that Valkyrie to get him faster, and he will do just so. Gets Funny Astro back on, and they're still contesting the point.
And he can also bring Funny Astro back in a second time if they decide that they want to get that extra bit of healing. And on top of that, that potential for the sound barrier, Funny Astro is going to get jumped on for a 3rd time here, as they got that first kill initially, was able to slip out. But now he's going to go down, but pulling away with the sound barrier, which he can engage with next. And here's the thing, Lilbo just popped a sound barrier of his own. He only got 3 people, and it might not have been completely necessary for them to pull out, but man, Kib pulling this back in their favor at the moment, with Nico getting down pretty low, and I don't know if he even has recall. Overtime going to take down. They should be able to get back onto the point to contest it, and they will indeed, but Control definitely looking like it's going the way of those guys.
Nox is going to try and at the release get them spread out, potentially staggered here for a couple of kills, but no kills can be achieved as the rest of his team is still not on the point. Nox buys loans himself. Sound barrier will be popped, but as a result, Eagle Gaming just need to do something here to close this one out and pick the point. Else it's gonna go 1-0 in favor of those guys. They're still brawling it out. Finally, Fusions does go down, but the Resurrect could come out of Crusade. Of course, still 30% away from that particular Valkyrie, but with kills still going in favor of Eagle Gaming, they might just finally get a hold of this point.
Great barrier coming down from Nox there to deny that sound barrier. Just LOS'd him a little bit, because we did see Funny Astro only able to get really two other people with that sound barrier. You know, if he would have been able to get it at least onto Fusions as well, maybe even Craggy, then that might have looked a little bit different for them. They might have been able to sustain on that point, because once Fusions went down, it went all downhill from there. But now going back onto it, they still do have that Pulse Bomb. Crusade pretty much ready to go with that Valken. There it is, coming online. So once this barrage comes out from Kib, he's been really strong with them so far. I imagine that they should be able to be pretty lethal with that.
And already with a 6v5, it's going to be looking really good. But Pulse Bomb's going to go through. Funny Astro did go down. Craggy answers, but it's a 2-kill there for him. Leaf takes out Kib with the Rocket Barrage. Question is, can he get anything else? Because it's all those guys all over the point, and now that overtime kicks in, they do have the point. Nobody to contest just yet. Oh, even Leaf now being taken down means that they will finally get that first win on the board.
And remember, this is the first time that we've seen those guys on Control right now. So it's definitely a little bit of an opportunity for us to gauge what to expect from this team. Are they going to be strong at Control? Are they going to be kind of stagnant a little bit on these types of maps? But it seems like so far from what we've seen, they're just as strong here as they've been so far on any other type of map, but especially behind Kib. I mean, Kib has really had a little bit of a standout performance so far, I'd say. Craggy, in this matchup at least, has been a little bit more silent, which is something you just wouldn't expect at all, considering Craggy's ability and the way that he plays that Tracer. It's very flashy, the way that he actually pulls it out, with his mechanics just being extremely solid. But now as we go up into this next map, another map here where Farah can really kind of determine how this map is going to look, and so far Kib and Leaf have been at each other's throats.
So far, we'll see Fusion be the first one to be taken down. Leaf getting the better of him this time around, but Get Amazed will be desuited, and as a result, Craggy will look to potentially finalize that kill, but no, Nico answers with one onto Funny Astro. Happy Cool does get Amazed down there, but still, members, indefinite advantage for Eagle Gaming, and as a result, they will take a hold of the first point.
Nico and Craggy getting a little bit of a duel between each other, but not going to really amount to anything, especially with the support of Mercy behind Nico and Craggy getting a little bit himself, and they're just going to ward him off. But now as we look forward to this next attack, those guys now really have to try to somehow mount an attack, an offensive that's going to be safe for their backline, as Nico probably going to sneak around the side.
And so far, it's looking pretty equal. Leaf rapidly approaching that rocket barrage, whereas Kib is still far away from it. And as a result, we might see him just used to turn things into a potential snowball. Another team fight win on the board here for Eagle Gaming. But Soundbear is going to be used by Fine Astro. Leaf is going to try and turn, as said, things around. But Kib still gets him in the air. And now Craggy getting the best of Nico is going to make it easier for those guys to pick another fight win.
That was a great defense matrix coming out from Happy Cool to just deny what was Leaf's barrage. But now coming back into this, it seems like Eagle Gaming has found their footing once again after being denied that initial impact of that barrage, but still Crusade allows them to continue fighting. They have to win it pretty quick here though, Brunch, because it's at about 70%, and once it gets ever closer to that 99, it becomes very much an uphill battle. It becomes very difficult to win this matchup, because then you start getting into that territory of not being able to just lose a single fight. And here they are, Lilbo comes back in. It's at about 78, so they will have an opportunity. If they lose this, they could potentially go ahead, stall it with Craggy or something, and then bring everybody else back in behind them. But I don't know, those guys right now in a pretty bad situation, I would say, initially, but still have that buffer of taking that first map.
And we'll see if that's gonna come back to bite them, as at the very least, for the side of those guys, they will have Funny Astro getting closer to that sound barrier, which could secure them another team fight win here. But on the other side, Nico is gonna lie in wait, waiting to get a pulse bomb sticky potentially here to cancel out that advantage you would get out of sound barrier. But Nico actually gonna go in and get Happy Cool desuited, and as a result, Funny Astro is just gonna pop sound barrier, gonna keep everyone safe for now. Nox is gonna go down, Get Amazed as well. No front line here for Eagle Gaming, and as a result, they will be pushed right back towards their spawn.
Really good ult usage there from Funny Astro as well, and didn't really have to commit all too much else for that. Now, coming away from that fight, though, Crusade really needs to be safe here, needs to get his Valk up, because Bot is going to have one of his own, and one thing that I would be a little scared of if I was those guys right now is Leaf. Having that barrage once again, that's something that Happy Cool has denied in the past, but it's going to have to do. He's gonna have to come up big to deny it one more time.
But speaking of Rocket Barrage, this Cave managed to get Nox out of it, and as a result, Bod just forced to use that Valkyrie, get him back in as fast as possible. But Nico's gonna go down to Funny Astro. Nox falling a second time means that Bod will be forced to use both of that Resurrect. Most value you can get is out of resing something like a Winston, the frontline tank, but now popping that Prime Rage, Nox is trying to create space for his team. Sound Barrier was used as well, and Crusade still has that Valkyrie good to go.
Well, Barrage still holding from Leaf, but he's low, and Kib is he's in pursuit right now. He's on the hunt and looking for him in the sky. We see the self-destruct come out. Barrage comes out from Leaf. He actually somehow snipes Kib from that distance. Crusade has Valkyrie. He's going to bring Kib back alive. But overtime ticking now, and those guys looking pretty solid in this fight.
Oh man, this could very well be a quick 2-0 here for those guys, as they still have full control. Nox is going to try and get back onto the point with the likes of Nico, but Nico will go down as well, and as overtime kicks out, it will be those guys picking up a very fast win on Oasis, and what a way as well, Hurix.
So 2-0 now on Oasis. This ties things up for 1-1. Now we go into a tiebreaker on Li Zhang. Happy Cool, obviously with a fantastic performance on D.Va. This is going to be showing some lethality, but I think the big play before was actually denying that barrage on Leaf. That was a huge play for these I guess those guys is the proper way to say. I mean, really good stellar performance from him so far in the D.Va today.
All right, so we'll be moving on to a short break, but we'll be back with the decider round. Don't go anywhere. All right, so it is Lee Jang Tower here for the deciding round between Eagle Gaming and those guys. As said, first actual tiebreaker map of this season, so it's going to be an interesting one. And looking at these teams, it will be Eagle Gaming swapping back in Hip and Pipu on those supports, as well as Flippy. And we've seen how deadly Flippy was on that Widowmaker as well as Tracer, so some interesting choices here when you say Hurix.
Yeah, Flippy is the guy I was looking out for because he was a real big playmaker yesterday, and so far all of the maps that they've won, Flippy has been there, really looking so really solid. So I like to see him getting involved again. I like that they're bringing in a really strong dive here, coming with Nico and Flippy together. Still though, Flippy against Craggy, I don't know about that one. That one's still pretty close to me.
Yeah, Craggy has been an absolute beast on that Tracer, as we talked about time and time again, but it's looking like we will see a Moira over on the Crusade side of things and Fusion on that Reinhardt. You've talked a little bit about it before, Hurix. You don't really like to see Reinhardt for the most part, but as you said, Craggy definitely going to be a huge threat for Flippy there on the Tracer. He's going to be the first one to go down.
Yeah, it pretty much has to be enabled, right? Like, you have to be able to get that Reinhardt forward and get it to be aggressive. What a fantastic boop, actually, from Funny Astro. I mean, the fight was already over, so it really wasn't necessary, but it is nice to see flash like that.
Oh, yeah.
But as I was saying, you do have to really kind of enable the Reinhardt for it to be this strong, and you can kind of surround Orisa on this particular point, so having an aggressive Reinhardt does work sometimes here, but still there's going to be a lot of damage into his barrier. We see them diving straight through, and somehow Fusions doesn't even get anybody on that charge.
Oh man, Hip actually taking a double kill to start things off for Eagle Gaming. And just like that, they're going to clean up house. Craggy's still going to be a nuisance, but he's going to be off the point. And as a result, we will see a flip back towards Eagle Gaming.
Flippy taking a little bit of a duel between Craggy and himself right now, and Craggy forced to recall out as the pressure comes from Nox and Nico. Now starting to fight off Crusade, going to throw out that Coalescence. They're getting aggressive off of this one. Happy Cool needs to get his energy up so that he can start generating some of these Gravitons so they can start getting these team wipes, because so many kills are coming out from Eagle Gaming. They're just pushing out so much more damage at the moment.
And just like that, another team fight win for them. And on top of it, you also have Hip ready to go with that Transcendence. Going to be looking really good for them going into this next one. But at the very least, over on the side of those guys, Hafikul is rapidly approaching that Graviton Surge. So Graviton Surge along that Earth Shatter for Fusions, both of them exceptional crowd controlling abilities. We'll see them potentially finally get the point back into their favor, but Nox is gonna dive on top of him, does have the Primal Rage, gonna try and go for that displacement. Fusions bullied all by his loads himself, but fine with the regroup, with the sound barrier being there. He should have a good hold on top of this point, but Flippy over onto the side of the point will be forced to recall. No more of that particular resource for him, but all these ultimates, actually Transcendence only gonna catch Pipu. Hip is gonna answer with Transcendence, just make sure he's safe, but no, not safe for long as Fusions gets to charge Flippy though. Gets Funny Astro return. The Earth Shatter will be good coming out of Fusions, and this should be it for those guys.
That was a fantastic Earth Shatter, putting three people on the floor there. They were able to get 2 kills off of it, and now that last one onto Zenyatta. It might have been only 2 people, I'm not sure, but either way, they still come away with that fight. And now they're really kind of fighting an uphill battle again here, because really they're going to be kind of leaning on to Kib here. I mean, they have the Dragon Blade coming up from Kib, and we've seen him be quite effective with it, but I don't know if that's going to be enough, especially as Fusions just gets knocked about really low here. They get the kill on Flippy. That's going to slow things down a little bit, but still, I mean, gonna tie it up. We see Pipu coming with that sound barrier. That might be enough to just kind of deny Kib's Dragon Blade. I'm not sure. We'll have to see if he's going to get very aggressive with it. Nico's going to have one of his own. Transcendence coming up for a second time pretty soon here as well. Will be on the backside of that sound barrier.
Oh, but Nico's gonna grab that first kill onto Funny Astro, looking for the second one, catches Fusion, and the Return Blade is gonna force the Transcendence as well from Hip, but this is a clear team fight win for the side of Eagle Gaming, as they're just gonna clean up house on top of the point, and 80% already achieved on that checkpoint means that they're gonna have like one more team fight for those guys in order to pick it up. But looking at their ultimates, we will have to pretty much look out for the Big Bang with Hafikul and Craggy.
Luckily, here, I mean, it looks kind of good actually for those guys when you think about it. They have that Pulse Bomb Graviton combo between Hafikul and Craggy. If they can get in there, Hafikul dies off to Flippy though. He drops the Graviton, but the stick doesn't come out from Craggy. He's just going to look to try to take Leaf out of mech. They're still going back and forth. Nico down very low. Deflect going to come out, and he's still at a pretty low HP pool, getting healed a little bit. Luckily though, with Hip out of that Transcendence, because he used it in that last fight, they're still waiting on him to generate that one back up. Now a re-engagement coming out here for those guys with the Earth Shatter ready. They're looking to lay down Nico. They find him, take him out of the fight. Flippy down pretty low as well. They have control of the point, so they're charging this up to 99%. Kib with another blade coming out. This time he's going to find some kills more than likely as he pulls it out, finds a kill onto Flippy, gets around behind the wall, avoids the self-destruct, and they take the first round.
Oh man, with those final few staggered kills, that's the problem. If you're Eagle Gaming, not only did you have to force so many ultimates out of your opponent and somehow keep a hold of the point, but you had to know you at most would get one team fight to potentially get the point back. Unfortunately for them, since they died so late into that particular one, it just meant staggered kills, made it difficult for them to get back onto the point. Leaf tried desperately, didn't manage to quite get there, and as a result now, Eagle Gaming, they need to win the next 2 rounds to put a win on the board, and considering they already have 2 losses in Group A against Piece of Cake as well as Angry Titans, they really need to step it up.
It is interesting to note that this is the first time now in this map that we've seen a Mercy, and it's just on one side. People are actually going to make a swap here, so that actually will be nullified. My comment doesn't make any sense anymore. But Kib actually under fire by that Widowmaker that Flippy pulled out. They're not actually bringing Leaf out onto that Pharah. They're instead going with a Doomfist. And I love this because Leaf is insane on the Doomfist.
He was one of the first ones to really bring it out in competitive play during that Contender Season 1 in Europe, and now seeing back him, he already has Meteor Strike soon enough, 70% built up. He picks up another kill onto Fusions, and considering this particular map of Lijiang, he will have quite a bit of room to work with as well, especially considering it seems like most of those guys are setting up towards that sideline where he can really get in and get those kills.
The big thing here is trying to just knock people around. We saw this with the LA Gladiators on Dorado, where it's just knocking people around, trying to create space and open shooting lanes for Flippy. That's the name of the game here, so that he can land these shots. We already know that this guy is a nutty Widowmaker at this level, and he's going to have that Infrasight already, but Meteor Strike pretty much ready to go for Leaf as he's trying to deny Craggy as well with this Doomfist pick.
And we'll see if it's going to be successful, as Fusion was the first one to go down. Hafikul does get the best of the knocks in the end, but so far overall, a lot of ultimates should be still available on the side of Eagle Gaming, as Hip will actually take down Fusion. Flippy finds Kib and that engage before the Soundberry gets popped, but nobody on the point means they will get it in their favor. Those guys will have to still fight it out, try to extend it as much as possible. At the very least, Flippy, though, gets another good kill onto Funny Astro, and now with those other final ones going on to the point, it's just a matter of time, seemingly, as even Leaf, another rocket punch onto Fusion, will secure the point surely enough.
But they're doing a good job of stalling this here. We see Kib back on the point. He'll be taken down by Nox, and finally it does flop back into Eagle Gaming's favor. But those guys have been pretty good about actually turning that point even mid-fight, and that's something that Eagle Gaming needs to look out for. They're in a good spot right now because Leaf has been really dominant so far on the Doomfist, really creating a lot of space for Flippy. But they have a lot of ultimates as well, and the big one here is going to be Transcendence, especially as Kib gets ever closer to that blade, and you certainly want to have that Transcendence for that. But Kib has been known to be patient, so we'll have to see if he wants to pull it out aggressively or if he decides to wait for that Transcendence to be popped.
Especially since Fusion's going to try and boop off of their bridge, going back on towards the point. Self-destruct is going to be used. Doesn't find a target just yet, as Leaf manages to get Craggy. Did get the decent though, Nico, with a slight advantage there, and Flippy finding Fusions. Leaf finally goes down to Kib, and as a result, the Transcendence will be forced out with that blade, but the reset is going to happen. You definitely praised Kib for his patience. Maybe should have been a little more patient that time around, but then again, he did force out the Transcendence, and now coming into this next team fight, it's most likely only going to be Leaf with an ultimate ready.
And that's big news right there, because he can one-shot a lot of these guys. Kib, Funny Astro, Crusade, even Craggy if he's found without blinks or a recall to get away from it. But still, Leaf has been really kind of zoning out Craggy. That's been big here for Flippy, who just really hasn't had to deal with that Tracer as much as usual. Craggy taking down pretty low. That Meteor Strike got a lot of damage off. They just need to secure the kills now, but Leaf goes down.
And as a result, Crag is going to pick up that one, but Pipu says no. Get back at your 2 feet. No slacking for you, Leaf. And with the self-destruct coming in again, Sound Bear was popped by Fanny Astro. The pulse bomb actually going to get only the DC, but Leaf finds Kib there and that in the gauge, and with Nox taking down Fusions. Once again, numbers in favor of Eagle Gaming as they keep it tied up 1-1.
Now moving into Night Market, that is technically a map where you can bring out a Doomfist. I don't know if they're going to actually want to do that, especially as I don't know if they're going to want to bring out the Widowmaker. I think that's the bigger question. It seems like they're making some swaps. Leaf more than likely going to go over to the D.Va, and that is going to be the case here. So they're going to change everything back around. They looked really, really good on that map, though. I mean, they really kind of felt probably at their best in terms of control from what we've seen. With that Doomfist, with that Widowmaker, both being involved, I think you really got to have both. And that really allowed Nox and Nico to start doing things pretty much without any kind of punishment, because they were just able to go ahead and, you know, do whatever they want. Leaf and Flippy were making sure that everybody was trying to pay attention to them. So Nox really had all the space in the world to just go ham on that Winston.
And now that we'll be moving on to Night Market, we'll see if any particular change in game plan for Eagle Gaming will result in a potential win here, because as you said, this particular setup didn't go too well for them in that first round. But as I say that, Flippy picks up that first blood onto Crusade. Pipu gets the best out of Fusions, and just like that, Eagle Gaming storming it up onto this third round. Craggy, though, still trying to contest.
Hype has actually been very solid with these Discords so far, really kind of helping punch out a lot of extra damage. Kib gonna make a swap here, though, over to the Pharah, and I do like this change. I mean, there's not really a lot that's going to be able to deal with him. They have the Discord that's going to go out to Kib, and really just kind of waiting for everybody else to just get that projectile damage, maybe a little bit from Tracer. But speaking of Tracer, Craggy taking 2 kills to start this fight out. Make it 4!
Craggy, the flashy plays we talked about are definitely still there. And as a result, just like that, the turnaround for those guys, single-handedly done by Craggy. Oh, man. Well, to be fair, the rest of his team gave him the space for it, but still, you know, gotta give it to him.
Well, they dove in with him, didn't they? So, I mean, we've seen some 1v6s before. Pipo had a couple of moments as well, but Craggy really showing off. Onigod has had his moment as well. So, a lot of great Tracer play so far, but now we're going to be seeing Nico swapping over to that McCree. This is not the first time we've seen this, and this is really good. This is going to be able to not only deal with Kib, but also might be able to deny Craggy if he does get aggressive.
And Crusade did pop up that Valkyrie, gets Funny Aster back up, but so far kills slightly in advantage of Eagle Gaming as they will try to get a hold of the point once more. But Soundbear was used. Ooh, nice flashbang onto Fusions, and now Hip gonna be forced to use that Transcendence. Crusade still had 1 Resurrect up and available for Fusions, but even during the Primal Rage, is just gonna get bursted down. So much damage coming onto him, but still, overall, in terms of the percentage, it's still building up for those guys.
This is what they've been known to do, just stall for as long as possible. We do see that Defense Matrix taking away that barrage a little bit, but still Happy Cool getting a kill onto Nox. That's big. That's going to improve their stalling a bit more as Craggy finds another kill onto Nico. Are they going to be able to flop this back in their favor as Flippy jumps off the map? They're at 70% here already, Brunch. So now they're going to go for that reset. They have one more opportunity. Remember, it's tied 1-1 here, as we did see the tiebreaker on Oasis go to those guys. So if they take this map here on Night Market, those guys will steal away this win.
Oh man, and a lot of ultimates on this lineup of Eagle Gaming rather to take it back. But as said, since they already built up at 90%, we've seen what that means in the past, and now that we will see them engage onto the point, Nico's gonna try and find the target. With that Deadeye doesn't get too successful, but Hip finds 1 kill, Nox to follow it up with a second. Overtime kicks in, but even with this team fight win, things are gonna be looking pretty dire potentially here for Eagle Gaming, as they did have to use all of their ultimates.
Now we see really kind of nothing on the side of those guys either, though. So this might be one of those kind of pray for Craggy to pop off one more time moments for those guys if they want to be able to take this right here. They might lose this fight out. They might just go ahead with a stale push as Fusions drops. That looks like it's going to be the case. They force the res out and Flippy now looking for a big opportunity here. Need to deny Craggy as he was just denied his pulse bomb just before. But Nico gonna go ahead and sound the horn. He's gonna deny out Craggy. Nice flashbang headshot coming out to secure that kill, as now it's just time wasted off the clock here. They're going to get aggressive. I'm not sure if I like this from them, sending fusions with Primal Rage over to the point when they're already losing people.
They're still trading, however, and self-destruct is going to come through. Sound barrier going to be used by those guys to try and get that advantage roll and make sure they get the point. Transcendence will be the answer. Coming out of hip, Funny Astro did go down. Crusade is going to be able to get him back up. However, with that Valkyrie still available, should have one more res good to go if need be, and fusions will be brought back up. Nico's going to go down, and as a result, this is not looking good for Eagle Gaming anymore. Fusions even getting another kill onto Peepoo. They're just going to get the point soon enough. 92%, but it doesn't matter. Eagle Gaming need to get back in.
With that long-winded fight, they just spread everybody out, separated them, and then created a huge amount of kills in isolation. They just separated everybody out. Nico had no help. He's going to try to come back in here on Soldier. Not going to be able to hold it for too long. People are not going to make it at all. And those guys taking it 2-1, not only on the map, but in the series as well.
Oh man, definitely a force to be reckoned with now on Control. Thinking that we've seen him. And Craggy, we got to see this play again.
This is, I think, that moment where he kind of popped off on him by himself, more or less. We saw a couple of rockets come in there. Kib definitely had some impact. Pulse bomb coming out, going to secure those last two kills. Almost killed off that Lucio as well, but great stuff from Craggy, certainly backed up by the rest of his squad.
All right, so we'll be moving on to a break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with the next series of the day.